Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, Fisherman for Zion, back with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah. Don't count this as a light thing to do. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to each and every one. Lord willing, you're enduring to the best of your ability in the land of the living, striving in these last days to forsake the flesh and the cares of this world. Peace and blessings to each and every one. Lord willing, you continue to strive, especially making sure you are being diligent, of an honest spirit and of an honest vessel to the best of your ability. Peace and blessing to each and every one. Lord willing, this will be edifying to you. Don't count this as a light thing to do. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh in the name of your son, Yahweh Shah, for another day in the land of living, another day in his truth, knowing our nationality, our laws, statutes, and commandments that he's given the Israelites according to the covenant that he's made. So peace and blessings to you. We're going to open up with a precept through the spirit of power of Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to all the Israelites that scattered abroad across the four corners of the earth, the leaders and the elders as well. So this is Psalms 122 and verse 1. And it reads, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord Yahweh. So we have to make sure we check our spirit to see if we're glad to still be in the truth. We have to make sure we still glad to have the spirit of the Most High and to not be casted away from the Most High and to not, so like it be given over to a reprobate mind, a vile affection. And we got to continue to thank the Most High that he hasn't sifted us out of his truth. Now, due to not being glad, this is what the Most High has bestowed upon the nation of Israel. Now, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I'm going to start at verse 47. Deuteronomy 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord Yahweh, thy Most High God, with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that's due to not being glad, but being glad of all of the heathenistic and idol, adulterous, and covetous things that we've learned from these other nations. So not trying to be long-winded, but like the title says, getting my house in order before World War III. Idleness causes the house to collapse. So through the spirit, we got to continue to dive into these different things that's coming to pass in these last days. Shalom to the saints tuning in. Trayvon, Lawton, Shalom, peace and blessings. So, yes, World War III is prophesied in the Bible. Yes, prophecies are coming to pass as we live day by day, week by week. We can't be into the spirit of not realizing that things that's in the Bible is really coming to pass. A lot of people, they like to gravitate themselves towards people that's going to get their mind off reality. And that's why it's important for us to do these videos as well as go on the highways and byways. Now I want to get this in Isaiah real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 46, and I'm gonna start at verse 10. Isaiah 46 and 10, and it reads, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying my counsel shall stand and I would do all my pleasure. So there's still things in the Bible that the Lord has promised that he was going to do, prophesied that he was going to do, that hasn't even came to pass yet. So a lot of these things that we read about that we haven't seen yet, we have to constantly be meditated upon it, because it's going to keep us stable in these last days. We're not going to be thinking about what's going on, in the streets, how it used to be. You got people that come into the truth that used to be in the streets, So the spiritual demon Satan might try to get your mind withered away from following the Lord. And now you're thinking about what's going on in the streets. You're trying to go back into the streets, But as Israelites, we have to understand that things are coming. Judgments are coming, things that we have to constantly be thinking about. So it's like it says one more time, Isaiah 46 and 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done. So things that the Lord promised and said he was going to do are not yet done. You know, Shalom, Motor City Free Press, you know, Harley and Destiny, Shalom. So there are things that the Lord said he was going to do that hasn't even came to pass yet. So World War III, you know, these missiles coming to your nearest city, hitting your nearest city, you know, these things are coming to pass. And we have to get our houses in order. Now, I want to get this real quick in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse 1, and it reads, so your house can be many things. It's not only where you pay your light bill at. It's not only where, you know, you got your television, your stove, your entertainment center set up, and your couches and your toilet, and it's also your flesh, your earthly vessel, because where you got the spirit at inside these vessels, whether it's an evil spirit or a righteous spirit, you know, this is also the house. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1, and it reads, for we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God most high, and house not made with hands, eternal and in the heavens. So we should be looking for a house that's not able to be destroyed, you know, not able to die. That's what we should be looking forward to. Our minds should be on that, you know, a glorified body. No more pains, no more sufferings, no more sneezing and coughing, no more headaches, no more aches and you know, trying to take medication to be able to relieve this. You know, it's going to be an eternal building that the Lord is going to set up that's not able to dwell in this wicked society right now. You know, so I'm going to get another one in Genesis. This is Genesis. So another way of understanding your house, according to the scriptures, is your body. You know, so this is Genesis chapter 3. And I'm going to start at verse 19, and it reads, Genesis chapter 3, verse 19. It says, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So we gonna be likened unto what the Lord used many things to create in this life. You know, likened it to the ground. You know, likened it to a tree and things like that. So, like the title says, getting my house in order before World War III. Idleness causes the house to collapse. Now, let me get this real quick in 2 Peter. You know, because you do read about you know, destruction coming to the land, wherever you're at, wherever you're residing. Now, this is 2 Peter chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 9, and it reads, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. So this is why you may think that it's taking the Lord such a long time to bring judgment into this wicked world. You know, the Lord doesn't look at slackness how you and I or everybody else look at slackness. You know, the Lord set it up so we can hear about the truth and understand the truth and come to repentance and to turn away from our evil and our wicked ways. 2 Peter 3 and 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So these elements, cars, phones, houses, wood, even things that are man-made, you know, it's gonna be burned up. You know, so what does that sound like? It sounds like intercontinental ballistic missile hitting, you know, your nearest city, and a lot of things around it is being destroyed. That's what it sounds like. You know, 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 11, it says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons are ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? So what manner of man, woman, or child are you going to be in that day? You know, verse 12. It says, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So World War III is coming, you know. Now I want to get this in the Apocrypha. You know, like we always recommend, you know, you try to get your Apocrypha. So this is I'm going to the book of Sirach, as known as Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, and I'm gonna start at verse 28, and it reads, Sirach 39 and 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. It says, fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. So it's going to be a lot of fire in that day, in the day of World War III, you know, as a lot of people may know it as Armageddon, you know. So a lot of things is coming to this earth that we have to constantly be meditating on and reading about, and preparing our spirits and our minds and our times, and what we're doing with our time, what we're doing with our life, how we're living our life. Are we living it to please the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shah, or are we trying to please our flesh? You know. Now let me get another one. This is Revelation chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. This is the book of Revelation chapter 6 and verse 14, and it reads, it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll. So this is talking about a mushroom cloud. So yes, things that are going to be done in World War III. You can read about it in Revelation, Isaiah, Jeremiah. You can read about it in the Apocrypha. So when a missile is dropped, you know, and the after effect, you know, it comes up like a mushroom cloud. So this is what John the Divine was seeing when this angel was showing him many things. So Revelation chapter 6 and verse 14, it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. So many things will take place according to the aftermath, as far as the chemical reactions, the radiation, the effects that would cause people's skin to burn, things that would cause people to have health effects, even if it wasn't an immediate blast right there 2 feet from it, or 100 feet from it, or 40 miles from it. There's many things that's going to take place that you may not understand, or that you may not even know, as far as these intercontinental ballistic missiles, once they come and destroy certain parts of the earth. Now let me get this in Psalms real quick, because this is what World War III is set up for you know, that those that don't want to repent, those that don't want to come to the understanding and the realization that, you know, righteousness is something that wasn't meant to be taken for granted. Psalms chapter 11, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. Psalms chapter 11, starting at verse 5, and it reads, the Lord Yahweh tried the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hated. Psalms 11 and 6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. So the portion of the wicked dude's cup is going to be World War III. They're not going to escape. You know, even though, like it says in Luke 9 and 27, there be some standing here that shall not taste of death. So you will have people that are going to make it past World War III. And mainly it's going to be the elect. You know, besides those that are martyred for the Lord and his word, you know. Even though if you are a martyr for the Lord will raise you up, like the Most High rose up his son, you know. So you will have some that will still be wicked to that last second, you know, and that's the portion of their judgment. Now, let me get this real quick in the Apocrypha, because it's very important for us to get our houses in order right now. That's included ourselves. Even if you have spouses, that's included your spouse. Even if you have children, that's including your children, you know. So it's very important for you to get your house in order, because you thinking you could just live your life doing anything you want to do, and saying you follow the Most High, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, saying you follow the Creator of the heavens and earth, saying you believe in the Creator of the heavens and earth. That's really a vain thing to say, you know. And the Lord, He's not gonna be mocked. Like it says in Galatians 6:7, you reap what you sow. What you put out there, that's what you're gonna get back. So this is in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus chapter 27 and verse 3. Sirach 27 and verse 3, and it reads, it says, unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. So your house can be overthrown many ways that can happen. Your mind, your marriage, your finances, you know, your body, your spirit, your faith. A lot of things is attached to you. So many things can happen, not only to you, but to your wife, to your children. Even if you're a woman, many things can happen to your husband, you know. So you got to understand that the Lord, He's all about order and structure, you know. So let me get this real quick. In 2 Kings, so you have to get your house in order. This is 2 Kings chapter 20. And I'm going to start at verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 20 verse 1. And this is touching on Hezekiah before, you know, his time was to be cut off. This is what happened. 2 Kings chapter 20, starting at verse 1, and it reads, in those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amos, came to him and said unto him, thus said the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. So what if the Lord told you that you was going to die at a given appointed time? You know, what would your mannerisms be? What would your actions be? How would you move? You know, if the Lord came to you and said you're gonna die, you know, you sick and you're not gonna get well. You thought it was a cold, you thought you had sinus infections, you know, but literally your time is about to be cut off. But now we're living in the time where we don't even have spiritual encounters like this. We don't have angels just coming up to us, and we don't have visions and signs and wonders like our forefathers and foremothers did. You know, the Most High is dealing with us on a different level. But on another fold, you know, our forefathers, they was moving in a certain way that the Lord was actually warning them, you know. But if we get a warning now, it may be a car wreck, your light bill may be a little too high, or, you know, your child might get suspended from school or something like that, or you got to go get your child out of jail. So it's on a different level. But the Lord still told him, even when he was sick, to get his household in order. Still told him to get his house in order, you know. So let's read this one more time. 2 Kings chapter 20 verse 1. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amos, came to him and said unto him, thus said the Lord, Yahweh, set thy house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord Yahweh, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. So hey, he lived a life that he can be gracefully accounted for and mercifully accounted for. But how much more us, you know? So let me get this in 1 Corinthians, the 1 Corinthians 14. So we got to understand that it's very important that we understand what time we're living in. This is not a time to just be playing games and just thinking it's the 2000s, 2001, 2004, you know, 2006. This is not the time where LeBron James just came into the league. You know, this is not the time, you know, where Amazon just started kicking off business. You know, these are the last days. It's not much time to play around. You know, it's not the time to be going to the juke joint. It's not the time to just, you know, try to figure out, can we, you know, start our career over. The Lord is about to come back soon. You know, the Heavenly Father is about to send his son back to wreak havoc and to bring judgment to this place. So we got to figure out what side we want to be on. We want to be on the hit list side, or we want to be on his good side. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40, and it reads, let all things be done decently and in order. So not some things, but all things that we should be ordering our hands and putting ourselves in position to really do things in a rightful sense. Now I want to get this in Second Esdras real quick. Let me get this in Second Esdras in the Apocrypha. This is Second Esdras chapter 14. Second Esdras chapter 14 in the Apocrypha. And I'm going to start at verse 13, and it reads, now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people, and comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. So some may be in trouble. You know, some may have trouble in their marriages. They may have trouble according to having faith. You know, they may have trouble trying to cast off certain strongholds. They may have trouble trying to figure out how can they put down idolatry. They may have trouble trying to figure out how can they cast away a covetous spirit. You know, they may have trouble with the world, you know, and they want to get away from, you know, worldly things, and how this world has them in a chokehold. Second Esdras 14 and 14, it says, let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. So we got to understand that, you know, we not necessarily understanding or in the know of how much time we got, you know, how much grace the Lord has given each and every one of us, because each and every one of us has a different grace understanding, you know, not just understanding, but a different scale, you know, especially for those that are more wicked than others, even though we all fall short, and even though we all, you know, have fell from the glory of the Most High. You know, some may have different levels of mercy, different levels of grace. You know, like it says in 2 Corinthians, when Paul was asking the Most High for that thorn in the flesh to be taken away from him, and the Lord told him his grace is sufficient. You know, where he is weak, that's where the Lord makes himself strong for him. You know, so 2 Esdras 14 and 16, it says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. So there's more greater evils coming to wherever you reside at, where I reside at. So this is why it's important to try our utmost might to increase our faith and increase our love and understanding, knowledge and wisdom, and ask the Lord to increase it, and more so prepare ourselves to make sure we on his good side. Now I want to go to Proverbs real quick, because like the lesson state, it says, getting my house in order before World War III. Idleness causes the house to collapse. So you may have an opportunity to find yourself in a position to either labor or to be idle, you know. And when you think of the word idle, you know, it gives you an understanding of laziness. It gives you an understanding of labor. So I'm going to get this in Proverbs real quick. This is Proverbs chapter 19. Proverbs chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 15. Proverbs 19 and 15, and it reads, it says, slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. So just as well as you feed your flesh, just as well as you get a decent night rest, just as well as, you know, you drinking your water, you eating your food, you have to, you know, take care of your body. So you have to do the same thing for your spirit as well, you know, because if you let your spirit go a long time without food, which the Bible is your spiritual food. If you let your spirit go a long time without food, guess what? The same way you go a long time without food, your body is going to soon break down. Your spirit is soon going to break down as well, you know. So like it says, Proverbs 19 and 15, slothfulness casted into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. You know, meaning idle, meaning you're lackadaisical, you know, things like that. You're pretty much lazy, you know. So I want to get this in Matthew real quick. I want to get this in Matthew chapter 25. So your spirit is pretty much going to be without. Now this is Matthew chapter 25, and I'm gonna start at verse 8, and it reads. Now this is going into the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 of them was wise and 5 of them was foolish. But I'm getting straight to the point. Now this is Matthew chapter 25 verse 8, and it reads, and the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. Now if you understand, oil represents things that we should be having to prepare us for the Lord's coming. You know, for instance, when you read let me get this in Isaiah real quick. So when you read the word, when you building yourself up on a spiritual level according to the Lord, you know you're not lacking anything. You have that spiritual bread, you have that spiritual oil, you have that spiritual wine. So this is Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 1, and it reads, ho, everyone that thirsted, come ye to the waters, and he that had no money, come ye buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. So we don't have to necessarily purchase physically anything for this spiritual food, because that's what it's referencing. You know, that's a figurative way of saying, you know, we have food to eat, just like the Lord stated in Matthew 4 and 4. You know, you shouldn't just live off bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shah, out of this book, out of the Bible, the living waters, you know, the bread of life, you know. Isaiah 55 and 2, wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfied not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. So we're going to have to let our soul be full off of the bread of life, you know, the oil, the wine, the milk and honey, because that's what represents the things that the Lord is feeding us and sustaining us for. So let me get this real quick in Numbers chapter 6. Numbers chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse. Let me see where I'm going to start at. Numbers chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse 14. Numbers 6 and 14. And he shall offer his offering unto the Lord, one he lamb of the first year without blemish for a burnt offering, and one ewe lamb of the first year without blemish for a sin offering, and one ram without blemish for peace offerings, and a basket of unleavened bread, cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, and wafers of unleavened bread anointed with oil. So you make you make bread with oil, you know. So that's not only a thing that's discovered in the world, it's something foundationally from the Bible as well, you know, because when we have bread, in order to bread, we have to have oil, you know. So that's what the Lord likened this parable unto, you know, because if you're not building yourself up on a spiritual level, you're not going to have any oil in those days when you really gonna need it and when the Lord comes back, you know. So Matthew 25 and 8 one more time. It says, and the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. So those that didn't have the oil, the door was shut, you know, and they was without. So when you read Proverbs 19 and 15, it says that the soul, their soul is going to be without. You know, you're not reading, you're not building yourself up on a spiritual level. You just being idle, you know. So reading this one more time, Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 15, it says, slothfulness casted into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Because you're not going to have what you really want, because you're being lazy, you're being lackadaisical, and you're not really putting your hand towards what is really going to be sufficient for you. And you can't just always think that it's sufficient for you. Then, you know, for instance, like people, they don't like the fact that it takes a week or two to get paid when they work on a plantation, when they work at a factory or some type of fast food restaurant or some type of business, you know. So they looking at the right then situation, but you can't have that same mindset when it comes to the Lord making his return, second coming. You know, you have to really understand that what you're doing now, it ultimately can affect you for what the Lord brings judgment to later on. So I want to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 8, not chapter 8, but chapter 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And I'm going to start at verse 18. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 18, and it reads, it says, by much slothfulness, the building decayeth. Because you're really not doing nothing. You know, just like if you got a house and you're really not checking for leaks in your house, you're not checking to see if you got any cracks in your walls, you're not checking to see if your windows is cracked, you're not checking to see if you got a leak in the top roof, in the roof, you know, or in the attic. You're not checking anything. So that's why the building is going to decay. That's why the building is going to be destroyed, because you're not checking for anything. You're supposed to be checking your spirit. You're supposed to be examining. So that's why it says the building decayeth, you know. Just like if you was to have a sore tooth or some type of aching tooth, you know, because your body is your house too. If you don't take care of that tooth, you know, it's gonna cause a lot of other things to jam you up as well. So like it says again, Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 18, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, meaning it rotten, you know. And a lot of people, their marriages can rotten, their relationships with their children can rotten, you know. Many things in their body can rotten because they're not taking care and fully giving an examination unto the matter that needs to be examined, you know. Just like the title says, it says the house collapsed by idleness, you know. So you can't just let things just go unattended to. If you don't attend to certain matters, it's going to rot. It's going to destroy everything else. Just like if you was to put a molded peach beside another peach or any other fruit, it's going to mold everything that is touching, you know. So you got to understand what's really going on. You got to examine the matter. Like it says in 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, examine, you know. Prove thyself. You got to prove yourself a lot of times. You got to see if you really got faith. You got to see if you really believe what's really going on. Is it just something you're saying? Is it just something you're doing because you want to be seen? You know, you got, hey, just imagine you got a mechanic saying he can fix your car, and come to find out he really don't know how to fix it, but he just want to be known and look like he knows how to fix something. He's going to mess that up. He's going to make the car worse than what it is. You're going to be taking stuff loose that ain't no reason to be taking nothing loose. You know, really not fixing the problem. That's why it's important for you to get to the root cause of what's really going on. Get to the root cause of what's going on in your marriage. Get to the root cause of what's really going on. Why you're not really on fire for the Lord, like you think you should be, or like you really should be. You know. So like it says in Ecclesiastes 10 and 18, reading again, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, meaning it rotten, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. So your house can collapse if you don't, you know, put forth an effort, you know, start being consistent with certain things, start moving and laboring and being diligent and sincere. You know, what you think gonna happen if you don't go to camp? You know, what you think gonna happen if you don't build yourself up on a spiritual level? If you don't really pray, if you don't really meditate, if you don't really start fasting, if you don't really start, you know, reaching out, asking for counsels and really dealing with that demon that you feel like is overthrowing you, or that is really overthrowing you. Things are gonna literally happen on a bigger level that you thought was really a small scale, but it's really bigger than what you thought it was. You know, that one leak is something that's causing that one leak to be bigger than what you think it is. You know, so I want to get this in Matthew chapter 20 real quick, because the Lord called us to be laborers. The Lord didn't call us to be idle. The Lord didn't call not one woman to be idle. The Lord didn't call not one man to be idle. You know, the Lord doesn't want us to be idle. You know, before I get this in Matthew 20, let me get this in Luke real quick. The Lord doesn't want us to be idle. The Lord told us what to do. This is Luke chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 13, and it reads. I'm going to start at verse 12. Luke chapter 19 and verse 12. And it reads, he said, therefore, a certain nobleman, I'm going to start at verse 11. Luke chapter 19, verse 11. And it reads, and as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought the kingdom of Most High God should immediately appear. And that's what we think. When we come into the truth, we think the kingdom of the Most High should come right then and there. Just because we seeing signs and wonders come to pass, just because prophecies are kicking off, you know, we thinking the kingdom should appear immediately. Verse 12, Luke 19 and 12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. Verse 13, and he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. So he told those servants to occupy, you know, and what is the Lord saying about a servant? You know, like he says in St. John, the 12th chapter, he said, where I am, that's where my servant should be also. Let me get that real quick. You know, so if you're saying you're a servant of the Lord, a woman of the Lord, a man of the Lord, where the Lord is, that's where you should be. You know, you should be exhorting. You should be motivating. You should be doing videos. You should be on the highways and byways. You know, you should be getting your household in order. You should be praying. You should be fasting. You should be reading. You should be studying. You should be forsaking the flesh and the cares of this world. You know, the Lord said where he is, that's where his service should be also. You shouldn't be masturbating. You shouldn't be watching pornography. You shouldn't be lusting after other women as a man. You shouldn't be lusting after other men as a woman. You know, you shouldn't be freaking off. You shouldn't be being wicked. You should be following the Lord and striving to get yourself in a better position than where you were yesterday, last month, last year, and still fighting those same demons that you was having to fight, and they was tearing your tail up. You know, and bad things come from idleness. You know, bad things come from being slothful. You know, that's why you gotta watch brothers and sisters and seeing how they moving, because you can't just be hanging around any and everybody. You start hanging around any and everybody, and they just doing things that you're not doing. Them same spirits might try to hop on you and overthrow you. You know, now you trying to figure out why you dealing with what you dealing with. You know, you got this brother you hanging around. You know, he doing God knows what, and you over here trying to stay on fire. You trying to figure out why you losing smoke, why you losing flames, cause you hanging around that brother that's wicked, man. That's slothful. That's idle. You know, and the scriptures say idleness teaching much evil. So you got to figure out where you want to stand when you fall in the Lord and who was around you, because the Lord might got a hit list out on somebody that's around you. You're trying to figure out why you keep getting jammed up. The Lord trying to take you out because he trying to take somebody out around you that's going to jam you up. So let me get this real quick. St. John chapter 12. And I'm going to start at verse. I'm going to get straight to the point. St. John chapter 12. And this is a beautiful chapter. I'm going to get straight to the point. St. John chapter 12, and it says, let me see where I want to start at. This whole chapter is beautiful. I want to get straight to the point. Let me see where I want to start at. Salaki, I'm trying to find this quick verse. So we got to make sure we serving the Lord and not serving the flesh. Not trying to be a man pleaser, you know. I'm going to start at verse 26. This is St. John chapter 12 and starting at verse 26, and it reads. I'm going to start at verse 25. It's St. John chapter 12, verse 25. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hated his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. So do you want your job to honor you, or do you want the Lord to honor you? You know, do you want your wife to honor you, or do you want the Lord to honor you? You know, you got to ask yourself that. You got to, and I have to ask myself this. Who do I want to honor me? You know, do I want the Lord to honor me? Do I want this, you know, people in my life, people in this world to honor me? You know, that's why you can't be so caught up in it so much, because it can take you away from what you're really trying to put your hands to, you know. And that's a beautiful chapter. That's a beautiful chapter, but that's also a mean precept too. Let me read it one more time. This is St. John chapter 12 and verse 26 one more time. It says, if any man serve me, that's a woman as well, because a woman comes from a man. If any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. So you can't bring everybody with you. You know, don't feel bad if you don't spend enough time with your family members. You know, because you got to think about the men of the Lord, the prophets, the kings, the righteous men, Hezekiah, King David, you know, not the wicked kings, but the righteous kings. You know, you got to figure out, and you got to ask yourself, what did they do? How was they moving? You know, how was Jeremiah moving? How was Amos moving? How was Hezekiah moving? How was Zephaniah moving? You know, you got to look at how all these other kings was moving too. Manasseh, Saul, you know. You got to figure out what, you know, what it is that you're doing, and what it is that somebody that you can learn from was doing as well. It says where the Lord is, that's where we should be. You know, we can't be at the weed man house. We can't be at the juke joints. You know, we can't be at the club. And then people try to get so simple and say, well, you know what, the Lord was sent with sinners. You know, he was sent with the publicans. You know, he was sent with those that was collecting taxes. So I'm pretty sure the Lord do want me to go to the strip club and tell them to repent from their sins. No, you know, stop being so simple. Proverbs chapter 1 and 21 on down. You know, how long will you love simplicity? So the Lord, he wants us to be in a place where we can, because if you was literally walking with the Lord, you wasn't gonna be doing any and everything. You know, you had to be clean cut and putting that wicked away. So I'm gonna go back to this, Matthew chapter 20. I'm gonna so like Ecclesiastes chapter 10, and then we're gonna go to Matthew chapter 20. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 one more time. Ecclesiastes 10 and 18. By much slothfulness the building decayed, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. So I want to go to Matthew chapter 20, like I already said. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 3, and it reads, and he went out about the third hour and saw others. So like I'm gonna start at verse 1. This is a parable also. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 1. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder. So if you even if you don't own a house, or even if you don't even rent a house, or wherever you reside at, the Lord already likened you as a householder, man. Somebody that's overwatching the house, somebody that is over a house that has many things going on inside. Because hey, if you a man of the Lord, a woman of the Lord, you watching over the Lord's house, you know. Because like it says in Luke 17 and 20 on down. Don't be overthrown by they saying low here or there, but the kingdom is within you. You know, the Lord got his spirit in you. The Lord gave you the law, statutes, commandments. So you're supposed to use that and help others come out of their wicked ways, and even yourself. So bidding people to come into this house, like it says in Matthew 22, you know, bidding people to come to the marriage. You know, so Matthew 20:1, it says, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And we're the vineyard, like it says in Isaiah. You know, we're the vineyard. Let me get that precept real quick. We're the vineyard. Let me get this precept real quick. You can't just go away from the Lord and now you're trying to figure out, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. The Lord set us up to be workers for him, not for everybody else. It's like I'm trying to find this precept real quick. Ain't read this one in a minute. It's been a minute since I read this. So like, let me read this right quick before I go back to this precept. So we're the vineyard of the Lord. The Lord has us in a worker's mentality, you know. So this is Isaiah. Let me see what precept was this. It's been a minute since I read this. Isaiah. Let me see, Isaiah. I thought I had it written down. This is Isaiah. Where I'm gonna start at. This is Isaiah chapter 5, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 1. Then I'm gonna jump down. It says, Now will I sing to my beloved, so like it, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. It was I don't want to read this whole thing. I want to get straight to the point with the precept that I wanted. Verse 6. I'm going to go down to verse 6. It says, and I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor dig, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel. So like it says in Isaiah 5 and 7, it says Israel is the vineyard. So it was verse 7. So let's go back to Matthew chapter 20. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 1 more time. It says, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers in his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. So as the Lord is giving this parable, you know, there's many reasons why the Lord spoke in parables, you know, because he did know things from the beginning. You know, he knew all men, you know. So basically what he created, he already knew about it, knew how it was going to move in the spirit. That's why when you read Revelation chapter 1 and chapter 2 and a couple verses in chapter 3, talking about those 7 churches, you know, the Lord knew how those churches was going to move because that represents the spirits of the Israelites. You know, the church of Ephesus, this church of Philadelphia, things like that. So he knows his people. Not only did he created them, but he knows their spirit. Just like he said in Jeremiah chapter 1 and 4. He said he formed thee from the womb. He sanctified thee, you know. So like it says right here one more time, Matthew chapter 20 verse 2. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. That's why the scriptures also talks about idleness and slothfulness, because the Lord, he wants us to occupy. He wants us to labor. He wants us to fight. He wants us to take the kingdom, you know, seeing how bad we really want it, you know. And then you got some that they showing they really don't want it because they're not put forth the effort. Verse 3, Matthew chapter 20 and 3. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, meaning they're being lazy, lackadaisical, you know, not laboring. Verse 4, and he said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said unto them, why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, because no man had hired us. He said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So this parable is about being laborers, being ready to work for the Lord, you know, making sure we're preparing ourselves and doing things that he commanded us to do, because the Lord also set things up on a spiritual level. Now let me get this in Ephesians real quick. The Lord set this up on a spiritual level. Now this is Ephesians chapter 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 11. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 11, and it reads, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers. Now he gave these as a leadership for the ministry, for the body, you know, because we make up many different parts of the body, you know. But you also have not only looking at it just for laborers, but for those to perfect the saints in the ministry. Because you got women, they supposed to be teaching the children, and you got older women, they supposed to be teaching the younger women. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 12. For the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, Hamashiach. It says, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Most High God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, Hamashiach. So we got to understand that we supposed to be laboring, you know. We supposed to be teaching our, as a husband and as a father, we supposed to be teaching our wives, our children. And as a brother, we supposed to be teaching our other brothers, you know, congregations. We supposed to be building up the foundation of our congregation, as well as in what they like to call the community, you know, making sure we praying, you know, no intermission in prayer, you know, making sure we being diligent and sincere. You know, this is laboring in the Lord's vineyard, because like it says in Isaiah 5 and 7, we're the Lord's vineyard. Now, like it says in this right here, you can go to the blue letter and look this up. This is a Greek word, agos. According to Matthew 20 and 3, it says, Matthew 20 and 3, it says, free from labor, at leisure. It says lazy, shunning the labor which one ought to perform. So these are things that we supposed to be doing as a laborer in the Lord's vineyard. You know, we supposed to be laboring, not lazy. You know, it says slow bearing, you know. So the Lord doesn't want us to be lazy. You can't be lazy with your spirit, and you can't be lazy with your hands, you know. Like it says in Genesis 30 and 30, you know, provide for your own household as well, you know, because you got some they want to live off somebody else, and you can't, especially if you're a man, you cannot live off somebody else. You know, our forefathers didn't do that. You know, so we should not be doing that. Nobody's sitting back being sad, and nobody's sitting back feeling sorry for us, especially if we're saying we're Israelites, especially if we're moving in the sense that we're God's chosen. You know, this society don't want to acknowledge that in the first place. So you can't just walk around saying you an Israelite and sticking your chest out and your chin up, you know, thinking somebody gonna put you on a high pedestal because you're teaching and you're telling people you God's chosen. You know, you got to get it out of the mud. You know, you got to get your hands dirty. You know, now if you're working in the office and you got a suit on, hey, you know, kudos to you, but you still got to get your hands dirty. You know, what it look like another man coming to your house, you know, fixing your stuff, you know, and then looking your wife with a side eye, you know, talking about if you need me, call me for something else too. You know, talking about I can fix anything. Ain't no man coming in my house fixing nothing, not fixing nothing in my house and doing anything, you know. So hey, other brothers gotta be the same way. You know. You gotta get your hands dirty. You gotta make it happen. Ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you. Now this is Genesis chapter 30, and I'm gonna start at verse 27. Genesis chapter 30 and verse 27. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thy eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that the Lord Yahweh had blessed me for thy sake. And he said, appoint me my wages. It's like Genesis 30 and 28. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude, and the Lord had blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for my own house also? So he said, hey, you ain't had much before I got here, but now I'm here. You know, hey, your house is increased. You know. So hey, you gotta understand that the Lord can do great things through your hands. So why not get your hands in the midst of things and make something happen? You know, cause ain't nobody else gonna make nothing happen like you gonna make it happen. So you might as well do something with your hands. You know, righteously doing something with your hands. You know, and that's a beautiful thing, to be able to fix something, you know, and save some money at the same time. You feel good about yourself. You know, you feel real good about yourself when you accomplish something that you normally don't think you would accomplish until after you learn, until after you put forth that effort. You know. So I want to get this real quick in 1 Timothy. This is matter of fact, I might hold that. I might hold that real quick. I want to get this real quick in was it Ephesians? So you got to make sure that what you're doing is going to be able to bring forth that confidence, because a lot of people, they don't have confidence, so therefore they ain't gonna do nothing. You know, just like a basketball player ain't just gonna go out there and take 20 shots if he's not confident. You know, he gonna pass the ball 20 times. You know, he gonna pass the ball. Now, it's like, I want to go back to 1 Timothy. This is 1 Timothy chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 8. 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 8. And it reads, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he had denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So an infidel is somebody that don't believe, period. You know, so the Lord said, if you don't provide for your own, you know, especially of your own household, you are worse than a non-believer. You know, so we should be in a sense of making something happen for our households. You know, this is why you got to count the cost, like it says in Luke 14, before you put your hand out there, before you put yourself out there to try to get you a wife if you're a man. And you got to make sure you able to put yourself out there as a woman as well, not just pretty looks, you know, but that you can clean, that you can cook. You know, here it is, this man bringing something to the table. He working all day, all night, and then just killing himself just for some good hair and somebody that put makeup on to keep their eyebrows arched, you know, and take showers here and there. That ain't adding up in these last days. You know, the Lord said where 2 or 3 are gathered, there he is in the midst. But it's got to be a purpose for gathering too. It's got to be a purpose for something coming together. It's got to be bigger than just sex. You know, it's got to be, I'm leading this soul to the kingdom of heaven, and I'm leading this soul to the kingdom of heaven. You know, you're leading your wife and you're leading your children. And your wife, she leading her children and she following you because you following the Lord. You out there working, she home, cooking and cleaning, folding clothes, keeping the house up, teaching the children. Or else, if both of y'all working, then hey, it's got to be order in that too. It can't just be. Now, a lot of people may disagree, but you know, you got to be righteously ordering your house in these last days. If both of y'all are working, you know, and it's this is wisdom. You know, this is me speaking as a man. It's not gonna say in the scriptures a woman should give her entire account to her husband, but we can show you where Tobit's wife did woman's work and, you know, made sure the house was in decent shape, you know. But me speaking as a man, if the husband and the wife working, both earning wages in this workforce in this day and age, it's got to be a plan set in place. It's got to be a purpose of something on what's going to happen, what's going on. Okay, where is this check going? Okay, where is this check going? Where's these funds going? It can't be where I work, I do my own thing. So I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done, and I worked all these hours, so I'm gonna make sure I got what I need. No, that ain't following the Lord in righteousness. Y'all gotta have things structured and order and righteousness in these last days. You know. And then you got certain people, they gonna be tossed to and fro, you know. And we've heard things, man. We've heard how a lot of households is maneuvering in these last days, and it's sickening and it's embarrassing, you know. It took a long time for me to get to a position where I am right now and still enduring, you know, especially to have a woman that follows and that's in the spiritual sense of being submissive, you know, following my leadership and following the Lord, you know. And then you may have somebody else that they follow their husband, but it's in a totally wicked way, you know. Just for example, you got Ahab and you got Jezebel. You know, you got Ahab, here he is supposed to be a man of the Lord, and you got Jezebel, here she is a Canaanite. You know, so regardless if your woman is an Israelite or not, you still got to walk and follow the Lord, and you got to set your household up to follow the Lord. You know, like it says in Joshua 24, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. You can't have yourself trying to serve the Lord, and then you got your wife trying to serve the devil, the spiritual demon Satan, Hashatan, you know. So let me get this in Luke real quick. It's the book of Luke, chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse 46, and it reads, Luke chapter 6 and verse 46. It says, And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will shew you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and dig deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. So you may have your house built on solid ground, but then you may bring somebody else in, and they're gonna diminish and demolish the whole thing, and now your foundation is corrupt. You can't have that, you know. And you got women, they solely follow the Lord, but they may get with a man that may destroy them. You know, you may see them doing good, and then all of a sudden they got married to a man, and he just totally changed them. You know, Megan Good, for example. You know, Megan Good, she was with this. I'm not saying she was doing great when she was with this Christian pastor, but you can just tell just a difference somebody is gonna make in your life, and how you follow and how you do things and who you attach yourself to. You know, Megan Good, she was one way, and then when she left that Christian pastor, she got with this guy named Majors. Can't remember his name, but he's an actor or whatever. I really don't watch movies that he play in. I think I only seen something, a preview or something. But she got with this other guy, and next thing you know, she just totally changed. You know, you can see it in her face. You know, she wearing wicked promiscuous dresses at the photo shoots and on the red carpets and stuff. You know, so hey, you can really tell how somebody's foundation is by who they dealing with too. Like it says in Matthew 7:16, you can see somebody's fruits, you know, by the appearance. You know, that's Sirach 19:29 as well. You know, you can tell somebody look by their appearance. But I want to get this in the Apocrypha real quick. This is Sirach chapter 33. So, hey, you can't be idle in these last days. You got to make sure you got your hands moving and doing something righteous, you know. This is Sirach chapter 33 in the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus 33, and I'm going to start at verse 25, and it reads, If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty. Meaning he gonna be free. You know, he gonna be out there doing all type of stuff at the club, you know, out there shooting dice with somebody. Or a woman, she might just be out there with her friends thinking she just doing something just to get out of the house, get her mind off some stuff. But it's really gonna be evil, you know. Verse 26, Sirach 33 and 26. A yoke and a collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant. So the Lord gonna put you through hell if you mess around and try to go from his vineyard and you're not following his orders, you know. So he gonna bow your neck. He gonna put a heavy yoke on you. You're gonna be jammed up in more ways, and you're gonna be trying to figure out if it's a chastisement from righteousness, or is it a chastisement because of judgment, you know. Verse 27, Sirach 33 and 27. Send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. So, hey, you got a lot of people, they may be in a relationship with somebody they have no business being in a relationship with, because they was once idle, and then they led themselves down a lustful path or a covetous path, and then their idleness taught them much evil, and now they are attached to the evil that they was cleaving into because they was idle, you know. Because it like it just told us, it said idleness teacheth much evil. So you got to figure out, you know, what are you doing in your so-called free time, you know. Are you doing things that is not relevant for the Lord's laboring in his vineyard? Or are you just doing things that you think is relevant for your free time because it can jam you up, you know? And it says, Sirach 33 and 28, set him to work as is fit for him, for he be not obedient. Put on more heavy fetters. So the Lord gonna put more pain on you, gonna put more suffering on you, you know, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know. And you got just imagine if you a teacher teaching the Bible, or if you're over a congregation, or if you're a husband, or if you're a wife, or if you're a father, you know, you just being idle. You're not really trying to stay in the word. You're not really trying to care for your soul. You're really not trying to care for your spouse soul. You gonna find yourself in a bad case. The house gonna drop through. You know, just imagine you're a woman and you're not cleaning, you're not cooking, you're not doing anything in your house. You can destroy your house and your house just gonna fall through. Just imagine you a man, you a teacher, you know, you're not teaching your wife, you're not teaching your children, you're not keeping yourself disciplined, you're not keeping yourself in a position to where you can help better yourself. So your house gonna collapse too. You know, the woman can cause the house to collapse. The husband can cause the house to collapse. The leader of a congregation can cause the house to collapse. You know, because your house can be not only you, not only your wife, not only your children, but it could be your congregation. It could be your leaders. It could be your elders. So you need to figure out what it is that you're missing and that you're not really paying attention to, and that you got your hands in your pocket. You know, like they used to say, like the old LA Lakers coach, Darvin hands in his pocket Darvin Ham. Always got his hands in the pocket. You ain't calling no plays. You know, you ain't telling your players to do nothing. So all your players out there running ISOs. You know, ain't running no pick and rolls, no back cuts, no screens, nothing. They just pick and rolls. You just got your hands in your pockets, just looking in the stands. Hey, just imagine you a husband and you ain't really paying attention to your wife. You know, your wife, she coming home with cologne smells on her, you know, ain't really cooking. They ain't really got nothing going in the house, you know, ain't teaching the kids. The kids don't know how to say their 1, 2, 3s and ABCs. So that man gonna have to pick up all the work outside of the home. Gonna have to come home, teach the kids. Gonna have to come home and cook. Gonna have to come home and clean. Gonna have to come home and do everything. When we should be on one accord in these last days. Like it says in Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? You know, you can't be over here and then they over there. You know, your leader over here and then your congregation over here. Your elder over there and your leader over there, your congregation over there. Everybody just doing their own thing. You know, you got to figure out what it is going on in these last days. You know, your wife over here, the husband over here, the kids over there. You know. We got to be on one accord. That's what we got to be working towards. You know. Now I want to get into Sirach chapter 37 and verse 11. Ecclesiasticus 37 and verse 11, and it reads. I'm gonna start at verse 10. Hey, Sirach can get mean now when you get up in here and start really diving into a lot of these things it's talking about. Sirach chapter 37 and verse 10 in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 37 and 10. It says, consult not with one that suspected thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. So you can't let everybody know, especially people that really are jealous of you. Can't let everybody know what's going on. You know, you can't tell everybody that you got written up on the job. You can't tell everybody that you got fired. You can't tell every brother and sister that you got problems in your marriage. You know, you can't tell every brother and sister that your bank account is low and you need some money. You know, some people gonna put your business out there and they gonna jam you up. You know, verse 11, Sirach 37:11. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous, neither with a coward in matters of war, nor with a merchant concerning exchange, nor with a buyer of selling, nor with the envious man of thankfulness, nor with the unmerciful man touching kindness, nor with slothful for any work, nor with a hireling for a year of finishing work, nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any manner of counsel. So you gotta figure out who you want to go to as far as matters that need to get done. You know, it says don't go to a woman and you talking about another. You going to a woman that's jealous of another woman. You know, that ain't gonna turn out right. And don't go to somebody slothful when you trying to get some work done. You know, and either don't go to anybody don't go to an idle person for business matters. You know, so that that's gonna jam certain things up. You know, so I'm gonna get this in Proverbs real quick. So Lord willing, this was edifying to you. Don't count this as a light thing. Call Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Now this is Proverbs chapter 31. I'm gonna start at verse 27 and it reads. Proverbs chapter 31, starting at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 24. Proverbs chapter 31 and 24. She make it fine linen and sell it, and deliver it girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened, Proverbs 31 and 26, she opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. This is talking about a virtuous woman. Verse 27, Proverbs 31 and 27, she looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. So there are women out here in these last days that are keeping their hands moving, you know. So if women out here keeping their hands moving, hey, we as men should surely will keeping our hands moving in a righteous sense as well, you know, because you don't want the woman doing more than the man, especially if you a husband. You know, you don't want your wife just doing all the work. You know, that's gonna bring a bad look to you. That can ruin a man's reputation. And also, it can ruin the household's look, you know. So, peace and blessings to you, Fisherman of Zion, with another video. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh. In the name of His Son, Yahweh Shah. Continue to endure, forsake the flesh and the cares of this world, and to continue to strive in these last days. And remember, like the title says, get in my house in order before World War III. World War III is coming, you know. So, we got to make sure we're not idle and we're not allowing the house to be jammed up. Shalom.